Hello. Yeah, hi, a very morning to all of you. A very good evening to all as well. So, hi, Anusha, Radhika, Pasunati. Can you all hear me?
Yeah,
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm really sorry for yesterday, due to certain, there was some confusion that happened and I was not able to join the session yesterday. So, very sorry to keep you all waiting.
that's okay.
Okay. So today, so let's start. So for the first session that we had, right, the day before yesterday. So over there, I was trying to give you a fair bit of an idea around, right, like what data science is all about, right? What is predictive, prescriptive, and descriptive analytics. Those were the things that we had started off with. So I'll just share my screen. Hi, so I just opened a regular Excel over here. So I just wanted to, list down the subjects that we
Hi.
probably.
Sorry, I didn't get your name.
So my name is Amit. So I think were you there in the first session that we had? All of you, were you there? Anyone who was not, probably.
I had attended the demo, but that was a few days back. Oh, day before yesterday.
Okay. Okay. So the day before yesterday, the one that we had. Okay. So just to list down, right? So all the things that we would be covering, right? So like the idea, because these are the completely all the tools that are used very extensively. So when we talk about Excel, SQL, Tableau, Power BI, Python, and R. Right. So largely, if you will talk about the data science industry, now these are the tools which are extensively used. I mean, in day-to-day tasks, whatever things that you would be doing. Now, Excel, we all know, right? So now Excels are the spreadsheets, and I'm sure that many of you would be comfortable of working with the Excel, right? And SQL is basically it is one of the languages to interact with databases. So I will be telling you all what like exactly databases are and why do we need databases and how they are important. So we will be talking a lot of stuff around that, what SQL is all about. Then when it comes to Tableau and Power BI, right? So these are the two tools that we use primarily for, these are something that we use primarily for the purpose of visualization and dashboarding. Okay, so we use them for the purpose of visualization and dashboarding. And when we talk of R and Python, now these are the two softwares that are used extensively for the purpose of predictive modeling and machine learning. Right. So this is how these tools are bifurcated, and this is how these tools are used into the industries. So what we all will be doing is, we all will just start with the portion of the Excel first, right? So that you all are a little more, organized and you can actually use Excel. So can I know what is your comfort level with the Excel as of now, all of you? And if you have to rate yourself, right, out of 10, so how will you rate just a self-assessment?
Hello.
Hello? Yeah.
Hi, this is Harshada.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I would rate myself 7 or 8, maybe.
Okay. So 7. So you're comfortable with writing the different type of formulas and pivot tables and
Yeah, kind of, yes.
perfect, perfect. Right. Others?
Yeah, same for me. 7 or 8. Comfortable with Excel pivot charts, all that.
Okay. Okay. Because the reason that I'm asking is because ultimately the goal is that I'll be covering only the formulas and functions only and some pivot tables so that you all can work with it. So if you all are comfortable with that, right? So probably what we can do is we can start off with the SQL in that case. So it doesn't make sense to spend the time and spending the time on the thing that you already know. So I
Uh,
hope this.
Hi,
if you
but
go on,
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was saying that if you can probably, I don't know if macros was part of this Excel training,
I mean,
but
see, macros is something that is not required from the part of data science, right? Because the macro is something that we use primarily for the purpose of automation, right? So, and automation is something now being moved to the other advanced tools, which is more, time saving and more effective. So you won't find a lot of use cases of the macros now in terms of data science industry now, because previously we used to use macros for creating dashboards and reports, but now we have more powerful and sophisticated tools in order to take care of that. So that is where this macros has taken a back seat, because I myself, I come with like 10 plus years experience. So I have initial 4 or 5 years I did a lot of VBA coding. I used to write a lot of macros and all those things. But for the last, the 5 years that I've seen as a trend, there hasn't been any project where I had to use the macros for some sort of a thing. So that is the reason, like macros you will not find as a part of a lot of for when it comes to data science area. So you will not find macros being taught. But yes, if you have any specific requirement, if you feel that there is in some of your projects you are using VBA macro, VBA coding, and you need some help, I mean, definitely I can guide you for that, and I can take a couple of sessions so that you can get familiar with that VBA coding.
no, I'm not using it currently, so I think it's fine. I mean, you can
Okay.
skip it.
Sure. So yep. So like I get a message from Harshad. So okay. See, what we can do is I can just show you like pivot tables once, right? So Harshad, I mean, Harshada? So are you comfortable with formulas and functions?
Yeah.
Okay. So just give me a moment. Okay. See, now this is a data set that I have opened up over here. And this is a very generic data set that I've opened. This is like a data set about the sample superstore. See, now what happens in the industries is that, as the most important ingredient of data science is, that is the data. Now, data is something that is generated manually also, right? There's a lot of data that manually is generated. Like, when we type in something and we enter our information anywhere, that is where that manually the data is generated, right? Like, for example, when you fill up the sign up forms, right? When you fill up your sign up forms on any of the websites. So that is a manual entry of the data that is being happening, right? So basically you put your name, surname, age, date of birth, like your gender, etc. All that information that you put, that is a manual way of entering the data. And next is the data that is generated by the softwares. Okay, right? Like for example, whenever we are using internet, so there is a trail of data that we are leaving behind, right? So what happens over there is now, as we are using the internet, the data that is being generated, that is being stored by the softwares into the databases. Okay, and likewise, when you go for some shopping at a grocery store, right? So over there, you all would have seen, right? What happens is they have that barcode scanner. So they scan the barcode of the product, and right away the information is generated that what product you purchase, what is the price of that product, and everything about the product is being stored into that system. That okay, on what particular date a particular customer has purchased an item. Now, similar to that, the superstore, when you go for, when you purchase something from an online website. So this is the data on that, lines over here with us. That say, for example, there was an order that was purchased. You have an order ID on this particular date. The order was purchased, and we have the shipping date when that order was shipped to that customer. What was the name of the customer, the ID of the customer, Then we have the segment to which the customer the order belong, country, state, and city of that order. You have postal code, and then you also have the information what all products did he purchase, right? Like for example, he purchased two products in that in that order. Because how do I get to know that? You can see the order ID is same, right? So the order ID is same over here. So this gives me an idea that this is the same order that we are talking about over here. When I take a look at this order ID, I can see that in this the customer has purchased almost like 7 or 8 items. So you have that information, what item they purchased, and what was the sales value, what was the quantity was purchased, what is the profit that Superstore made on by selling that item. Okay. So now pivot tables, right? So when we talk of pivot tables in Excel, now pivot tables are something which are very widely used in the industry, and you will find the use cases of pivot tables in the other softwares as well, right? Like the softwares that we talked over here, that is Tableau and Power BI. Now these are also the softwares that work in the same fashion the way the pivot tables work, right? The people who have a good familiarity with pivot tables, they will find the use of Tableau and Power BI to be very much similar to the same, right? So like for example, now first of all we need to understand the idea behind the pivot tables, right? Now pivot table means the pivot, when we talk about the word pivot means to change or rotate, right? This is what we understand by the term pivot, right? Like we all have heard this statement that when I the mentorship of a particular person played a pivotal role into my career. That means when, so basically it changed the way your career was going around. So that is the same meaning that we have for the pivot tables now. Now pivot table is something that I used. Now these are used to create the summary of the data. Right, so we will be using these pivot tables to create the summary of the data. So like for example, this data that I have, the sample superstore. Now from this data, I have a lot of bunch of data. So if I'll show you, we have approximately 10,000 rows of data with us. And through this data, what I would like to do is say, suppose, I want to create a quick summary that how much sale was generated across the different months, or how much sale was generated across the different segments, countries, states, regions. So I would like to generate a quick summary out of this data that we have. So for that, what we do is we actually make use of the pivot tables. And how do we do that? If I select this entire data, right? So if I select this entire data right now, what I need to do is I simply need to come up over here. And what I'll be doing is I'll come to the insert and I will say insert a pivot table. So the moment we say insert a pivot table, so what happens over here is now there is a dialog box that comes up onto a screen. It is saying like what is the range of the data on which you want to create the pivot table. So data is already selected, right? So I've selected that data on which the pivot table has to be created. Then if you see the next option that I see over here is it is asking where do you want to create a pivot table now? Do you want to create it on a new worksheet or on the existing worksheet? So typically, what happens is whenever we create any pivot tables, we try to create it on a separate sheet so that uh, it does not interfere with the data that we are already having on that sheet. So with this, what we do now is I simply click on OK, and you will notice a new sheet has been added and some new structure has come up for us, right? And in this, you can see on the right hand side, you have all the fields, and there are certain sections like report filter, column labels, row labels, value, etc. Now, this is where we will play around in order to create a quick summary of the data that we are trying to fetch, right? Like for example, if I want to see category wise sales, so it's a simple drag and drop. You pick up the category, you can either put it in the row or you can put it in the column, right? That is why it is called as pivot. Now, if I put the category in the row, I will get the unique category names over here, furniture, office supplies, and technology. If I put the category over here, it will show me the same category names column wise, right? Because these are called as columns and these are called as rows in Excel. So now when you drag this column in columns, the column of category, so all the category names are coming column wise. And if I bring it into the rows, these names are now coming row wise, right? So now what I do over here is I need to see the total sales generated across each category. So what I do now is I simply pick up my sales and put it into the values. And right away you will notice my summary has been created and I can see now that what is the total sales for furniture, office supplies, technology, and I also have a grand total with me, right? The overall total of the sales. So this is how you can quickly create your the pivot table and analyze your data. And on top of that, if you want to further break this analysis, right? Say suppose you want to see for each category, you want to see the sales in the different regions. So you can pick up the region and you can bring it over here in the rows. So if you will see now, the analysis has further breakup now. So it is saying for furniture in these regions, this was the sale. Then you have a total of furniture. Then for office supplies in these regions, this was the sale. And this is the total. For technology, same way. And finally, you also have a grand total as well. So the total has got further splitted on the basis of region. I could have also kept the region over here in the columns. See now if I put it over here, it will change my view. Now it is saying oh, all my categories are coming over here and my regions are coming over here. And now on top of that, I also have the grand total. So I can see what are the totals that I have over here. So grand total of furniture, grand total of office supplies, and likewise I have a grand total of central, east, south, and west, and we have a final overall total as well. Okay. Now what you can also do over here is you have one more section that is report filter. If you want to keep some filters for this, the pivot table that you have created, what you can do is if you pick up the segment and put it in the report filter, you will see the segment has come up over here. Now from this segment, if you select consumer, it will filter the data for consumer. If you select corporate, it will filter the data for corporate, right? So whatever filter you apply, the data gets filtered accordingly in this chart, in this table below over here. Now this is how this pivot table is working. Now see, I mean, yeah. So can let me know if you have anything to ask before I take it ahead. And please,
No.
all of feel very comfortable in terms of sharing your feedbacks right away. If in case you feel my pace goes fast or it goes slow, so you can just let me know.
Yes, we are getting it.
Right. So now, if you see what has happened is this pivot table that we have created. Now, this is something, it is fetching the data from orders, right? All the data that you have over here. Now, that is the base for this pivot table now. Okay. So if suppose your data changes over here, okay, if suppose I add some more rows of data inside it, I put some new data over here now. Now, will this get automatically updated pivot table or not?
No,
Right.
it
So
won't. You'll
no,
have to refresh.
we'll have to refresh, right? So if I come over here in this pivot table, when you have selected this, at the top, you will notice when the pivot table is selected, there are some pivot table tools that come up. If you come in the options, so there's an option of refresh, right? So if I refresh this, now refresh means it will hit that source again and it will refresh the data for us. But right now, even if I will refresh it, nothing is going to change because what has happened right now is I have
Change data
increased
set.
because my data source has been changed because I have my previously when I created this pivot table, my data was only up till here, right? And after that, what I've done is I have added a couple of more rows. So that way, what has happened is because if you just remember, when I was creating that pivot table, I had selected that entire range and the range was selected only up till here. So when you modify or when you add some new rows, so if the change happens in the existing range only, if the change happens in the existing range only, the moment you will refresh it, pivot table will refresh. But when you add certain more rows or if you add new columns, in that case, the pivot table is not going to refresh. You will actually have to change the data source. So if you come in this options, you will have to click on change data source. If you will now see, it is saying it has selected the data only from A1 to U9995. But if I technically see, my data is now not up till 9995, it is up till 10,003, right? So this is where I have to change that range. So I'll come over here and I'll say options, change data source, and probably I can either select my range or I can just change it over here also. Okay, so now if I select it, my range will be updated and my data will be refreshed accordingly, right? So you change that, you modify it, and then you can refresh the numbers. Okay, so now if you will see the overall total, that number would have changed because of that new data that came into it. I hope this is making sense to all of you.
Yes.
Okay. Now a quick question. Now this is a manual process that I'm doing, right? Because if every day my data gets increased, and definitely if my pivot table is created on top of that, every time I will have to come back and I will have to first of all change my data source. What if I want to make this process dynamic, that as in the moment my data is added, the moment some new data is added, and what should happen is my pivot table should automatically grab that range. So how can I do that? Okay, so J formula, what formula shall I use? Macro, yes, macro is one option with the help of which we can do it, but this is something that can be achieved without the macros also. Okay, see, there is a formula, one formula that we have, and that formula is offset. Now, offset is a very strong formula which we use for generating the dynamicity in the ranges that we create. Okay, so let me explain you a little bit of this, how this offset formula works. I'll take a small example of this in order to make you understand. Say, suppose what I have is I have some data. I have the months with me. I have the month 1, month 2, month 3. Same, I have a couple of months over here. Okay, so I have 6 months of data with me over here. So this is the month, and over here I have the sales. Right now, what I want to do is I have a small figure over here. What I want to do over here is I want to calculate the last 3 month sales, right? Last 3 months sales. So last 3 months sales will be this. So if I come up over here equal to, I will simply apply a sum, and I am saying I want to find the sum of last 3 months, which comes out to be as 458. Okay. Now tomorrow month 7 comes up. I get the date of 7th month as well. Now again, this is a last 3 months sales. So technically what should happen over here is it should show me the sale of the last 3 months as that is this, right? So what is happening right now is every time my last 3 months should be updated. So how we achieve this type of a task is we do it with the help of formula offset. Now how the offset works is offset is a formula that will take a couple of inputs from you. So if you use offset formula, it is going to ask for a couple of inputs: reference, rows, columns, height, and width. Okay, so let me explain you. Let's try to understand this. Suppose I give this is the reference. This is my reference. This is my reference point. That is the starting point. Then it is asking me for the rows. I give the rows as 3 and the column as 0. I have just given 3 inputs, that this is my starting point, and then 3 as a part of rows, 0 as a part of column. So now what will happen in this formula is, if you will see this, so considering this as a base point, it will go 3 rows down, 1, 2, and 3, right? It will go 3 rows down. So it goes 1, 2, and 3. Column I have given 0. Column means it has to move on this side. Now columns are 0, so it is not going to move on the right hand side. It is just going to move down. Now when I said 3 steps down, so it will come to this cell, right? It will come to this cell right now. So now if I just close the formula and I hit enter over here, it gives me the number as 145. That considering this point, and if you will go 3 rows down, you will reach up to this cell. Okay. Are we clear on this? What we have done? So I'm saying starting point goes 3 rows down and 0 columns. Now suppose I have over here profit also. Okay, profit also is something that is given to me, which is, say, suppose 0.1 into sales. Now what I do is, let me come back into the formula. When I said 3 rows and 0 columns, let me make it 1 column. Now what will happen is it goes 3 rows down, 1, 2, 3, and moves by 1 column on the right hand side. That becomes 14.5. So your output will come as 14.5 right now, right? So this gives me the 14.5. Same way, if you would have used, instead of 1, you had used -1, so it will move on the left side. So it comes 3 rows down and goes on the left hand side, which is month 3. So I get the output as month 3. So rows down, columns left or right. Okay. Now let me ask you all, let's see. What I want to do is, this is my reference point. I want to select the last value inside it. So what shall I do? How shall I do it? No, so basically I want, this is my reference point, and I want to, in the output, I want to see this value. So this is my reference point. I mean, you can also try at your end, right? You can open the Excel and you can try at your end. So, the trainings that we will have, they will be completely hands-on, right? So I will expect all of you to do all the things with me parallelly. So, and wherever you get stuck, you can just stop me there and then itself. Right. So Anusha says, so we will say equals to offset, right? So this is my reference point, comma, I go 7 rows down and 0 columns. So I get 200, right? But again, the problem remains the same. Tomorrow month 8 comes and this is a value 250 and this is 25. This number I want should change dynamically. So now what I can do is, where I have given 7. Now this is a problem. 7 should become 8, right? This 7 should become 8. So my problem is resolved. If this becomes 8, my problem is resolved. So how can I get that thing is, we can use a helping formula, and that is count A, right? What does count A do? What is the use of count A? Count all, right? So it counts everything. See, we have 3 formulas in the Excel. One is count A, and one is count blank, right? These are the 3 different formulas that we have: count, count A, count blank. Count is something, it counts only numbers. Count A counts numbers plus alphabets. and count blank, it just counts the blank values. Okay. So now if I apply a count A, if I say equals to count A, and this is the range that I select the range up to very big, right? I'll select the range up till here. So I get count as 9, right? Why? Because I have 9 values inside it. Or probably what I can do is I can just do one thing. Instead of using count, instead of taking the count A value from here, I can count it from here itself. So I get the output as 8. Now this is the same number that I've given 8 over here, right? So what I can do over here is, if the value changes, if this value goes away, the value becomes 7, right? The value becomes 7. So this is the exact same thing that I have to replicate in my offset formula. So if I come over here and I apply the count a formula over here, and I select that range like this, and I hit enter, see, now in this the last value is 200, it gives me 200. Suppose I get month 8 also, and in this the value was 250, it becomes 250. Suppose I have month 9 now, this was 300, this is 30. So you see, this number is always giving me the last value that I have. Making sense to all of you? Right. Right. So this is where I get the last number every time now in this. Now, what is my goal? Right now, let's come back to the goal right now. So my goal is to achieve the last 3 months sales. Okay. So now, first of all, you tell me, not from the Excel perspective, from the logical perspective. How can I calculate the last 3 months sales dynamically? If what all things that I know, how will I be able to do it? Some, right? Basically, what you need to do is, once I know the last value, what my formula should do is, it should take the last 3 values and add them up, right? This is what should happen. Once I know the last value, it should go 2 up and it should take that sum of that range, because I just have to select the last 3 months, right? So right, Jay, Harshad, and everyone, Radhika. So I always have to make sure that last 3 months are selected. Now this is where you will see the offset will come again into picture. In the offset formula, right? If I show you, we have just given 3 inputs. One was row, comma, height, but there are 2 more inputs that you see, right? There is height also and width also. Now, anything in any formula, right? In any of the Excel formula, if you see anything which is coming in the square bracket, if you will see anything that comes in the square bracket, that means that is optional. Even if you don't put that value, the formula will still work. But if you don't put rows and columns, the formula will give you an error. So suppose I remove the 0 over here, it gives you an error that you have entered 2 less arguments, right? So just keep in mind, anything that comes in square bracket, that's an optional stuff. But we are now going to use this optional stuff. Height means that the cell that you have selected, from that particular cell, how many cells do you want to select, right? If I say 3, okay, what this will do now is, it will simply select the 3 cells like this from here. It will select 3 cells, right? This is what this height is going to do. When you say this 3, so it selects 3 cells from there. But in our case, I have to go on the opposite direction. So it should become -3, right? This is what it should become, -3. So I'll put, instead of 3, I will put -3, right? I get a hash value error now. I am getting a hash value error. Why so? Because what my formula has now done is it has selected these three cells. It has selected these three cells. But I cannot show the value of three cells in one cell. Right? This is where what I cannot do it. I cannot show the value of three cells into one cell. That is why I'm getting a error of hash value. Hash value means the value that you're trying to put, the value you are trying to put up in this formula is not correct, right? This is what you get as an error over here right now. Class, just give me one moment. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So what I was saying was that what has now happened is in this formula, I am saying that I have selected one cell, but in that I'm trying to show the three cells together. Okay. But because in one cell you can only have one value, right? You cannot have three values together. But definitely the sum can come. If I sum these three numbers, that can come up over here because that will be one number. So what I'll do in this case is I'll simply wrap this inside the sum. I am saying I want to find the sum of range that is selected with the help of this offset formula, right? So now you get 750, which is the sum of the last three values that you have, right? If suppose tomorrow you get month 10 also, now the value is 350. See the number changed, it became 900. So it is taking the last 3 months again. So every time it is going to give the last 3 months sales now. If I put month 11, 400, this becomes 1050. Yes, everyone. Is it making sense to all of you? What we have done right now in this formula? Okay. So this is, this is where the offset formula is a very handy formula which you can use in order to, create dynamic ranges. Okay. Now this is something that you can use to create dynamic ranges. Now, I mean, let me, if this is clear to everyone, so this is something now you should all be able to answer. How can I write a offset formula now? What that should do is, suppose, let me create a small matrix over here. Okay, now this is all you all have to try at your end, right? You all will be trying this at your end. You can all open up your Excel files, and we have a formula of rand between. Okay, so rand between is a formula that generates random numbers. So if I say I want to generate random numbers between 100 to 200, so it will always generate one random number between 100 to 200 now, right? So you can just drag it down and you can copy paste that formula and you can just paste them as special values. So just create this data first at your end, all of you. You can take any numbers. These are like random numbers, Jay. So you can take any numbers. I have taken it between 100 to 200. So these were just random numbers that we created. Because even though we will use random formulas, so for all of us, the numbers will be different. See, the idea is once you have this range created, I want you all to create a formula to give the sum of all the numbers. What that formula should do is it should add up all the numbers and give me the sum. And if suppose if I increase this data like this or like this, that formula should be dynamic enough to capture that it should, the moment I increase the range, it should take that numbers and update the sum. So try it out. Oh, perfect, Harsha. So you have done it. Awesome. Right, others, I'll just switch for all of you so that you all are able to do it.
We have to find sum of all numbers, right?
Yes, yes. And once if the range increases, that should
Right.
accommodate that as well.
Correct, correct.
Okay, done. Or shall I give it a try? See, if I just give it a shot now, so I can say equal to offset. Now it is asking for first of all, it asks for the reference point. So I can give this as a reference point now, right? And from this reference point, how many rows do I want to move? 0. How many columns? 0. Height. So let me create this follow not over here. Let's create it over. Let's create the formula over here. So I will say equal to offset. My reference point is this, comma. My number of rows that I want to move is 0, comma 0. Now it is asking for the height, right? So height is the number of columns that I have inside this, and then the number of rows that I have inside this, right? So that height is basically this, the rows, and width is the columns, correct? So I am saying the number of columns that I have in the number of rows that I have inside this, that should pick that up. So I'm saying height as count A up till here, from 0 to whatever the number of rows that I have inside it, comma. The width is, again, if I'm saying count A, whatever the number of the columns that I have over here. So I'm just keeping the range up till here only. And this is where the formula is completed. And I will have to wrap this thing inside sum. We have to find the sum of this. It gives me 7157, right? This is the sum of the numbers that I have over here. That is 7157. Now the beauty is, if I increase these numbers, sum increases. If I increase these numbers, the sum increases. So if you see now, whatever I have in this range, that is getting added up, and that is where I'm getting the sum of these numbers, which is dynamic in nature. Right? I mean, you can let me know if you need explanation again. So because I'm right now trying to explain you with that idea that you all have already a understanding and you're using Excel back to back. So that is why I'm not going into like details of each and every step that what we have done. But still, if you feel that there is some the confusion you have at any point that you have not able to relate to, please feel free to ask that.
Hi. So in the last formula, when we did offset for rows and columns, I think for rows we used count A, so that it will count all the rows which do not have a blank. But here you kept rows and columns and 0 in the offset formula and only adjusted height and width.
See, basically what happens is when we say equal to offset, so the initial, when you say this is a reference point, see, when you say reference, now you are saying from this reference point, how many rows you want to go down and how many columns. If I say 2, 2, what this means, from this reference point, it will go 2 rows down, 1 and 2 columns on the right hand side, 1 and 2. So it will give you in the output as 150. So what that does is that initial row and column that we give, they are something that we are using to take our cursor from the base point. The base point is this, the green one. From the base point, I am trying to say where it has to go. So when I say number of rows down and number of columns on the right, it reaches over here. So the reason we used that over here was because we wanted to find the last value, that where that last value is coming. So that is why if you see in this offset formula, when we were applying it over here, what we did was, when the offset was being applied, we had mentioned that up to which point it has to go. And then for the height, we defined that how many rows it has to select. Correct? This is what we were doing. Now, the same thing we are using over here, but now the way the formula is being, the dynamics has changed. Now I'm saying from here only, because when I have to add up the numbers, so I have to add starting from here to here. So I'm saying my reference is this cell only, that the first cell that I have selected, I have to stay over here. That is why I have said 0, 0. 0 means don't go any row down or don't go any column on the right. Stay over here, 0, 0. Then from here, what is the range I have to select? Height is up till here, and width is up till here, right? So width is which goes from here to here. So that is where, in order to make the height dynamic, that it is able to identify that how many rows it has to select. That is why for the height, what we did was we applied a formula of count A. Count A as in I am counting how many cells I have, and for the width, I am defining the same thing on the right hand side. That is this.
Okay, thanks.
So now this idea, I hope this is clear to all of you. Now this is the same concept, right? This is the same concept that I will be applying on this superstore as well, right? Because if I am able to apply a complete offset formula and I am defined able to put that range inside it, my pivot table will become dynamic. Because if my range becomes dynamic, that if the number of rows increase, my pivot table should be able to accommodate that. Or if my number of columns increase, my pivot table again should be able to accommodate that. My job is done, right? So for that particular purpose, what we are going to do over here is we are going to create a name manager. I'll come to the name manager and I will define a new range. I can call it as dynamic range. And I'll just have to apply that offset formula. I will say that offset, my starting, my reference point is this, comma. I have to go 0 rows down, 0 comma 0 columns on the right, and height is number of rows that I have inside this. So for that, I will say count A, and I will select this column, comma, width is count A, that is this complete row, and there I go. My dynamic range is created. So I've created a range now, dynamic RH, right? So what I can do now over here is I'll come back to my pivot table. In this pivot table, in the options, when I say change data source, in this range right now I have a static range. I will simply say equals to dynamic RH, the range that I have just created, and my job is done. See, now what will happen is if I'll add some new rows inside it, suppose I add a new rows over here, and let me call this new category, the new rows that I have added, let me call this as a category of category, right? If I'll come back to my pivot table, I'll just have to refresh it. Options, refresh. So you see my data has been added right away. Right, so now my pivot table becomes dynamic. Every time a data gets added, I'll just have to refresh it. I will never have to change my source. Even if a new column gets added, suppose I get a new column being added, that is, say, suppose bonus is equals to 10% of the sales. Okay, if I come back to my pivot table now, I come to the options, I refresh. See, if you will see right now, I don't have column of bonus in this, but the moment I will refresh it, I have got bonus also. So this is how we play with the pivot. I mean, so pivot table, and you can make the dynamic ranges. That is the most important and the crucial part. Right, Radhika. Because this formula offset is very useful because when you play with the charts also, when you create the charts over there also, the charts, what we do is we try to pull the data from that underlying data set, and over there also, if you want to keep your charts dynamic all the time, you will just use the offset formula and your range will become dynamic. The moment your data increases, your chart will update. this is something that is asked a lot in the interviews also, like the offset formula, like how we use it and what are its use cases. So the main use cases, it helps you to build up a dynamic range. Okay, so with this, I think we'll have to take a hard stop for today, right? So maybe for just the next week, we will be keeping the session for 1 hour, but after that, we will start keeping the sessions for 90 minutes. Okay, and as an objective of this training, I'll also share a lot of assignments and capstone projects as well as we move ahead with the training, so that you can get an ample material to practice and enhance your skills. So next, no, so tomorrow is Saturday, right? So we'll be having a session on Monday to Friday. So we'll be meeting on Monday now. Okay. All right. So thanks everyone. Thank you. So see you all on Monday now, and let's pick up the things from there. So anytime Monday would be only 7 a.m. that we will meet, 7 to 8. Yes, yes. So the recordings will be shared. So the sessions will be recorded, and I'll ask the admin team also to share the recordings with you. And so yeah, I'll update them on this. So you will get the recording, the access to all the recordings. Okay, thank you all. So see you Monday. See you on Monday.